When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet, we're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.
Businessman there, drink my wine.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. And we're coming to you live from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, as well as around the world on the internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pun and Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, AM, FM 24/7, and our newest affiliate, Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. And joining me today as my co-host is not Kenneth McClinton today, but it is Sharon Engel. Sharon, welcome to Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Thank you so much, Rick, and it's great to be here not only on a wonderful Wednesday this week, but on a fabulous Friday with you.
Well, indeed, it is fabulous. It's great to work with you again. Sharon, it's a beautiful day, another beautiful day here on the East Coast. It's in the 70s. It's warm out. In fact, for today being November 6th, I again came to the studio in short pants and T-shirt. And I would like to thank global warming for this. I mean, this is wonderful. In my opinion, it could stay this way up till about December the 5th or so. Then the weather, then let's have some snow, get us in the Christmas season mood. But this is great. This is wonderful. And just think of all the money that has been saved by all the people, because you don't need to have your heat on. You don't need to have your air conditioning on. This is beautiful weather. So bring on global warming. Bring it on.
Bring it on. Well, you know, it's been in the news again, global warming. It's scandalous, and people are starting to really talk about it more. They're beginning to investigate. Exxon's investigated for climate crimes. You know, if you're following Drudge, it just interesting. Congressman demands a climate study documents as scientists warn of chilling effects. So now they're saying, you know, where are your facts? Where are your facts? If you've got it,
that would be nice
to know.
Facts are a good thing. Here's a fact for you, Sharon. Here's a wonderful fact for you. It's not the first time that I've mentioned it here, but over the last 100,000 years, there have been 4 ice ages where North America was covered with a sheet of ice, in some place 2 miles thick. I mean, 4 different ice ages. What happened to all that ice, Sharon? I mean, climate, the globe isn't constant climate change. 6,000-7,000 years ago, there was no Sahara Desert. It was all green and lush. What happened to all that green and lush stuff? Where'd this desert come from? Has something to do with climate change, Sharon. But it's always been that way. It always will be. And nothing that man will ever do will ever change it.
Well, and it seems like Representative Lamar Smith out of Texas is the one that's saying, come on, Noah, put up or shut up. We need to have facts. We need what you're doing is a form of intimidation. You think? I mean, they keep, and it is intimidating, isn't it? The way that they say, well, these are the causes, so we're going to regulate these businesses. Now every business is on alert that they could get some kind of a regulation thrown at them based on, what is this, bogus science. And of course that's where the congressman's coming from. And he also is pointing out that it's not just businesses that can be intimidated by this, but you and I, citizens, we walk outside and maybe we're doing something that someone objects to, and now we're somehow in the climate change thing, or maybe we get back in the carbon thing with the way that they do automobiles. Remember a while back when Obama was wanting to do his famous testing on our cars, so that the emissions testing, so that we couldn't have the cars that we wanted to drive. So it affects our lives, and I think it's great that the congressman is running full steam ahead, saying, "Give us the facts. Give us the facts." And of course, the other story was that ExxonMobil is a determined company that has, they say they've lied to the public about the risks of climate change, and so now they're going into what's going on in these big corporations. Are they lying to us or not? But maybe it's just intimidation, as the congressman said.
Well, Sharon, if anybody has lied about climate change, it's been the liberal base of the Democrat Party, and all these nutwhack jobs out there. I'll call them nutwhack jobs out there who say that mankind is changing the climate of the planet. We are not. We are not. We are incapable of doing so. I don't care if you burnt every piece of coal, every drop of oil, every ounce of gas. We would never, never, never be able to change the climate of the planet. I'll tell you what would. A nuclear war. That would change the climate of the planet. And again, because of Democrats and because of liberals, we are closer to that than at any time in the last 40 years. Thank you, Barack Obama, for that. That would certainly change the climate of the planet. Nuclear war.
And you're exactly right to name the conflict. I don't think anyone disagrees the climate does change. I mean, we've watched climate change over the past 10 years. Some years we have cold winters. You're experiencing a warm Indian summer right now. That's a climate change. But did you or I cause that by driving our SUV?
No.
Not hardly.
No.
Did the rancher out here in the West with all of his cows, did he change the climate because of those cows just doing what cows do? That's the ludicrous part of this, is that they're blaming people for it. And as you point out, it would take something fairly catastrophic to happen as far as people changing the climate, like as you pointed out, something like a nuclear explosion. And I think that that has been some of the fear when we've had these problematic things that have happened with like Chernobyl and the other nuclear nuclear energy places that have had leaks and things like that and spills, is that there may be a change to the globe.
Well, when you look at Chernobyl, look at the Fukushima nuclear power plant that was affected by the tsunami a couple of years ago, where you've had nuclear accidents. I guess they're the two biggest. 3 Mile Island. None of those events has changed world temperature, world climate, world weather. Hasn't happened. It would take as I said, in my opinion, it would take a nuclear war. It would take multiple nuclear weapons going off around the world to cause climate change, a climate catastrophe. But
right.
seen.
We just don't know exactly what's going to cause that. But
no.
Have they ever done any studies on the climate change that was caused by the 2 atomic bombs that were dropped in World War II? Or all
I don't believe so.
The testing that was done at Area 51 in Nevada? I've never seen those kinds of studies. And certainly, especially on the test range, they were taking atmospheric pressures and all kinds of things while they were doing all that testing, underground and above ground testing in the 50s and 40s. So we should have that out there. If there was going to be some kind of a change caused by men, shouldn't we already know it? Shouldn't we already know that? Because we've stopped doing some of the things, as you point out, that could cause those changes. And did it cause it? I don't think so. I don't know. But I think that there are ways that we could find that out, Rick. And instead of that, what they're doing is fear-mongering one more time. And as you point out, there is a problem with truth on the left side, and they've proven that with their presidential candidate. Her lies about Benghazi, and she's been caught in those lies. That's what's incredible to me, is that they didn't pound harder on that she told Chelsea it's an Al-Qaeda attack. Then she goes on television nationwide and said it's a video. Rice goes on and says it's a video. Obama says it's a video. And then she turns around the next day and tells the Egyptian prime minister, no, we know it was an Al-Qaeda attack. Talk about lie upon lie. And yet no one is calling her out for this. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like we're just going to go ahead and allow these things to go on and on and on. And that's why you and I here and all of our hosts on Conservative Commando's radio show want to make sure that people are aware that we're not going to take this business as usual. We're going to call them on these things.
As we should, and as we need to do. We're with the liberals right now, Sharon. This is the whole idea of climate change, this whole idea of socialism, the whole idea of a transgender society. Can go in any bathroom you want, regardless of who else is in it. I mean, we and our way of life are under a severe attack right now. So we are in a warfare. Well, Sharon, we will take our first break. You are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, WNJC 1360 in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pun and Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, AM, FM 24/7, and our newest affiliate, Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. Don't go away, Sharon and I'll be right back.
I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm messy, but
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. Log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. 1 p.m. log on to roarradio.net, or at 6 p.m. it is thepunditpress.com. You can also hear our show from your telephone, just like I did yesterday, by calling 832-999-1199. You don't need an app. You don't need to download anything. You just need to remember the number, write it down, and then call it 832-999-1199. In fact, you can try it right now if you'd like. So, Sharon, before we get into other things, why don't we go over our guest list today?
Certainly. I have the pleasure of introducing at 3:35 Reverend David Welsh, the Executive Director of the U.S. Pastors Council, Houston Area Pastors Council, that was founded in 2003 by a group of 13 pastors as a trans-denominational, interracial coalition of senior pastors who came together to bring a united biblical voice to the city, state, and even the nation. We're going to be talking to Pastor Welsh about the bathroom ordinance that was soundly defeated in Texas on Tuesday, and he's going to tell us what the big deal is there. Why should we be so concerned about an ordinance like this in the first place, and how were they able to defeat it in Texas? Because we've been unsuccessful here in the West. As you know, it's the law of the land in both California and Nevada now. So it will be very interesting to talk with the Reverend about the defeat that they were able to secure in Texas this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 4:05, we're going to be talking to Gerald Lamero. Dr. Lamero was the founder and CEO of Lamero Economics. a company focused on bringing practical economic knowledge about freedom, economic growth, and prosperity to America and the world. And Dr. Lamero is a frequent and popular talk radio show guest. He's an expert in economic growth and computer modeling. And we're going to be talking to him about Carson ahead of Trump. What's next? Of course, there is a bit of a lie going out from the press about Dr. Ben Carson. So this will be very interesting to our listeners today to talk about the little teeter-totter that seems to be going on between Carson in the lead and then Trump in the lead and then Carson back in the lead, and really what's causing them to be at the head of the pack.
Mm-hmm. All right. And at 4:35, I'll be speaking with Devin Herrick. He is an expert on 21st century medicine, including the evolution of internet-based medicine. Wonder what that is. Consumer-driven healthcare and key changes in the global health market. And he's going to be joining us to discuss the collapsing Obamacare co-ops. Big changes to come. So that'll be Devin Herrick at 4:35.
Well, I think it's a great show coming up, so we'll just encourage our listeners to stay tuned for the next hour and a half, because we'll be talking about issues that are important in all of our lives.
And that's what we try to do here on Conservative Commando's radio show, Sharon. We do try to talk about the issues that people are talking about and want to know about. So what else is on your radar screen today?
I was just going to go there with you. Yesterday we had a press conference here in Nevada rolling out a coalition that I've put together, rolling out an initiative to amend our Constitution. And the amendment is called the Pupil Information Privacy Protection Act. Pupil Information Privacy Protection Act, or PIPA, as we're calling it for short. But what it really says is that the pupil or student's personally identifiable information, that means things like their Social Security number, their age, their mother's maiden name, all those things that make for us an identification that's only ours, should belong to them. And they should be proactively asked whether it can be used. Any of that information can be used outside their local school district, or sold for any kind of use outside their local school district. So we're really striking at the heart of some of this data mining that's going on in our schools right now, and it's so concerning to parents, because it's not just your test scores anymore. It's things like behavior, and it's things like how do you do as far as academics versus a trade. It's trying to push our children into some of these molds that we don't really necessarily want them pushed into, because things change. I changed my mind about what I was going to be when I grew up, and I certainly don't want all kinds of things following me along in a track where my potential employer might say, well, according to this data that we have on you, you're just really, your aptitude is not here, even though you're probably smart enough to, Yeah. It's just those kinds of things that we don't want to have going forward unless we give our permission to do that. So that's what we're doing in Nevada, and it truly is a protection for public school students, for private school students, and homeschooling students. And the Homeschooling Association nationally has picked up on this, and they said this is cutting-edge legislation. Do you mind if we spread it around?
So that's wonderful.
It may be something that other states want to pick up on and say, as this internet society, as this information sharing society, as this social networking society that we belong to now increases in the availability of information, isn't it time that we go first and say, wait a second, as far as our kids are concerned, you can't just use their information indiscriminately. We need to have control of that and be able to give permission for you to do that before you do. And we've put a penalty on it, Rick. We think this is akin to identification theft.
Mm-hmm.
And so the penalty for giving out a student's identification without their permission or the permission of their parent is the same as if you were to steal their identification. And so it's pretty hefty fine and some jail time.
Sharon, I am surprised how lax people are with their identification. I really am. And it's just about everywhere you go these days and do any kind of business, we're made to show some sort of identification, except for voting. Gee, I wonder why that is. And I've mentioned this story before, and I don't know if I mentioned it while you were co-hosting, Sharon, but a couple of months ago, my wife and I went to check into a hotel room that we pre-booked and prepaid for. And they wanted identification, so I showed my passport. And this hotel would not accept my passport as identification. Now, my passport had my name and my picture in it, as all passports do, but they refused. They wanted to see my driver's license. Well, you know what, Sharon? There's two pieces of information, and I'll tell our listeners right now, don't ever give out these two pieces of information. Don't ever give out your Social Security number. Don't give out your driver's license number. Don't show anybody your driver's license, because on there is information. You don't want anyone that you don't know to have that information. It's got your name, your address, your date of birth on there, your height, your weight, your eye color. Don't give it out. Somebody asks for it, don't give it to them. Somebody asked for your social. The other day, I called a company, and I'll have to make this quick because we're about to go to break. I called a company to pay a bill. Well, to pay the bill, they wanted my Social Security number. I says, you don't need my Social Security number. I'll give you my account number. You've got my credit card record on file. I'm not giving you my credit card, my Social Security number. You don't need it for me to pay a bill.
And it's actually illegal for them to ask for it. It is not identification. That is the law.
Hey, Sharon, I'll give you the last word on that, because we are going to a break, and you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. We're coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Rural Radio, AM, FM 24/7, and now rebooting Liberty Radio Network. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back with our guest, Reverend Dave Welsh.
You've heard Paul Deltz playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sport Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched through throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners. On this fabulous Friday, you are listening to Conservative Commandos radio show. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com. Or mornings at 9 a.m., you can log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com, or at 1 p.m., you can log on to rawradio.net, or at 6 p.m., you can log on to thepunditpress.com. And now you can listen to the Conservative Commandos from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. This is Sharon Engel. I'm here with my co-host, Rick Trader, and we've got our first guest, Rick. He's the Reverend David Welch, the Executive Director of the U.S. Pastors Council, Houston Area Pastor Council, which was founded in 2003 by a group of 13 pastors as a trans-denominational, interracial coalition of senior pastors who came together to bring united biblical voice to the city, state, and even the nation. They've grown to over 200 senior pastors in the greater Houston area, as well as assisted in developing pastors' councils in Austin, Beaumont, Sacramento, Virginia Beach, and other cities around the country, birthing the identity of U.S. Pastors Council and Texas Pastors Council to connect those teams of pastors. Reverend David Welch, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be with you.
Well, it's our pleasure, Pastor, and we asked you to come on to talk about actually a victory. Sometimes all we can do is complain and think, oh my goodness, the country is doomed. But this Tuesday, we had a victory in Texas. And I want you to talk about that victory, and then I want to talk about the role that your group played in that victory.
Well, what happened on Tuesday was an ordinance that had originally been passed by the Houston City Council at the behest of our lesbian mayor that imposed an entirely new layer of bureaucracy over the city under non-discrimination protections that included sexual orientation and gender identity, was defeated at the polls by the people by a 61-39 margin after what really was an 18-month-long battle that began at City Council at Houston last spring and went all the way through to gathering signatures on the streets, a year in court, and finally to the ballot. And it was a resounding victory and one that we're very, very pleased with.
And how was your Pastors Council? Were you the lead on that, or were you just part of the coalition that came together to defeat this? How did that really work? Tell our listeners, because I know it's coming to a town near you and a state near you, and they want to know how to defeat this.
Well, you're exactly right, and I guess the Pastor Council was, I can explain it as sort of the hub of the wheel, because we have been there building this team of pastors for over a decade. It's very diverse, ethnically, denominationally, but very united in our core values of a biblical worldview. And so we've been on the ground, taken on other issues, but this was an hour in which we had to reach out, stretch out. We coalitioned with other ministerial groups around the city, denominational groups, and just connected everybody to work together and move forward. And it was a great example that, in fact, it can be done. And we had our African-American pastors on point from day one, leading civil rights leaders of the city, part of the team, and all literally from beginning to end. And that our African-American parts of the city actually voted in a higher percentage against the ordinance by an average of 72% than the rest of the community. So it was a great illustration of what happens when all parts of the church come together, starting with the pulpits.
Well, and what you've proven really is that you can increase the voter involvement if they're informed, and that information coming from a pastor who is trusted, who tells the truth, who preaches the truth, can actually be a part of that voter involvement.
Yes, absolutely. I can truly say, and like I said, I've been in this arena of ministry for 30 years, worked all over the country with local grassroots as well as national organizations here in Houston for 16 years, and I will say this is the most I've seen from more churches than before. Our churches really rose up. I mean, Ed Young and Second Baptist Church was magnificent, very vocal and visible, like I said, to our strong African-American churches and leaders and groups, so that Hispanic community and key leaders, and Asian. So again, we've told folks this is what the body's, and this is what we're supposed to do. And and I will say this, look, we wouldn't have had to do this if we'd have done our work to begin with and elected the right people to city council and mayor. That's far better than fighting an 18-month-long battle.
You're exactly right, and we have an opportunity now in 2016 to make some right choices based on our values in a presidential election and in federal elections for congressmen and senators, all the way down through our state legislators and, as you point out, our city councils and our school boards. And are you involved at every level, or are you mostly involved right there at the local level?
Well, we've been involved here at the local level and as well as statewide in Texas. We do have teams of pastors in other cities, and we work very hard at the legislative level as well. And like I said, we've helped them as other pastors have reached out to us and, hey, we want to do that. They've helped provide some guidance and support on helping pastors organize. But we work on expanding that process now. But our real objective initially was just to show a model of how to organize pastors. We had most of our national conservative organizations had either given up or bypassed pastors to our own detriment, and the churches just weren't engaged. We've shown that the pastors will step up, and when the pastors lead, our voter turnout almost doubled from the last several election cycles this year, and this ordinance was the critical deciding factor. Everybody knows that. All analysts of right and left acknowledged that the ordinance drove the vote, but it took the tenacity of this coalition of pastors and resources. By the way, it cost us over $500,000 in legal fees and a year in court and 2 Supreme Court victories to get it to the ballot. So, the bottom line is you got to get in and stay in. And pastors out there that, we have to decide what our freedom is worth. If you're too comfortable in your pulpits and don't want to risk your comfort, your reputation, then frankly, just watch it go aside and lose everything that's been bought with the blood of patriots and martyrs.
Well, we're coming up on a break, Reverend Welch. We'd like to have you stay through that break because I have lots more questions on this. Is that possible?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much. We are talking to the Reverend David Welch from Texas, who's talking to us about the problem with the agenda for values voters and how we can be part of that solution. We are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, Reboot Liberty, and AM FM 24/7, and those are all .coms. Rick Trader, Sharon Angle, and our guest, David Welch, the Reverend. We'll be right back after this break.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the Internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today, the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
If you'd like to hear broadcasts of today's show, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. You can log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com, 1 p.m. roarradio.net, and at 6 p.m. thepunandpress.com. You can also hear our show from your telephone at any time by calling 832-999-1199. Our guest this segment is Reverend Dave Welsh. He's the Executive Director of the U.S. Pastors Council. Reverend Welsh, thanks for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
You bet. Well, of course, as we well know, these are wins of battles. They're not wins of the war.
No, they're not. In fact, I wanted to bring that up with you, Reverend. You hit the nail on the head, that if you'd done the job in the first place, then this wouldn't be an issue. And my thinking is that we need to educate ourselves and our constituents, the members of our congregations, because when you have liberals like this Mayor Parker, she called the campaign against this a calculated campaign of lies. By the way, Mayor Parker, the first openly gay candidate for mayor in Houston, promised not to bring a gay agenda to the city. This is why I say we must do our due diligence on these people. If we elected the right mayor in Houston, this would not have been a problem.
Well, there's no question about that at all. And, you know, our founding fathers understood the critical nature of choosing the right leaders. And one of my favorite quotes of that era is when John Adams stated very assertively that we have no power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. That greed, avarice, ambition would break the cords of a constitution like the whale goes through a net.
Yes.
That our constitution was made only for moral and religious people. We have to choose leaders who respect the rule of law, who respect the laws of God. And when we put people in office who are not just weak or even liberal, but who patently are walking rejections of the laws of God and openly hostile to that, then the bad fruit's going to come from the bad tree. So we just have to care enough to decide as a church we're going to be responsible for the stewardship of what God has given us and only place that governing authority in the hands of the right people.
You know, Pastor, another thing, again, connecting the dots here. We got to get the right people in. I would like to know how long it's going to be before this mayor or somebody else in the LGBT community takes this now and finds a liberal judge, and through a judge they'll make this part of the law. Now we must understand that, for instance, Barack Obama, he appoints judges. Governors, they appoint judges. It's why we've got to elect the right people, not just to do the right things while they're in office, but to also nominate the right kind of judges. Because, Pastor, you're dead on. We are not dealing with moral or religious people when we're dealing with people like the mayor of Houston, Texas right now.
Well, that's it. And as we see this, obviously, and of course, Denise Parker really is just a localized version of President Barack Obama, cut from the same cloth. And
well, I doubt if people in Houston, Texas knew the road that she was taking Houston down, they would not have elected her. These people, Pastor, they lie all the time.
Well,
and they lie just to get elected, and then they do what they want to do, not tell the people they're going to do. Just like Barack Obama.
Well, and that's true, but again, I think anybody who really studied or was paying any attention at all to Denise Parker and to a Barack Obama, and many did, and called to work, knew where they were going to go. This was no surprise. Barack Obama is who he was before, and so is Denise Parker. The problem we have, especially in the church, has been we just don't pay attention, and we didn't consider this important enough as a ministry and as a duty of our citizenship to make sure we are taking personal responsibility for this. So that's changing, fortunately. It's taken a good turn here. I think our pastors are waking up. They're waking up across the demographic spectrum. And our hope and prayer is that this is really an encouragement to pastors and churches all across the country, saying you have to do this in your city too. And don't wait for the battle to come. Don't elect a lesbian mayor. But look, places like Plano, Texas, in the heart of deep red Republican area, city council did the same thing and shoved this down their throats. So it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter the demographics of the city. They're working this everywhere. So get organized, step up, get involved, pay attention, and make sure the people are equipped and informed with good information and learn how to think right.
Well, you're exactly right, Reverend Welsh. I'm so glad to hear about this, but there are other groups out there just like yours. Are you working with those other groups? I'm speaking of American Renewal Project with David Lane. It seems like there are pastors rising up all over the country forming coalitions. We sometimes talk about the pastors group that sends in to the IRS their sermons every year, just daring the IRS to do something about what we preach out of the pulpit. So I guess I want to know, are you working with these other groups, or is this something that you're doing singularly? How does that work? Because there are other groups out there.
Well, we've certainly partnered with other organizations on the national scale that were very helpful to us in this last round. Alliance Defending Freedom on the legal side did great work. Family Research Council, Vision America, National Black Robe Regiment that have all done some great things. But look, the difference of what we're doing at the Pastor Council that nobody else is doing anywhere, in large part, and I would say at least on a large scale, is creating organized permanent teams, cross-racial lines in the cities of pastors to simply take long-term responsibility for the spiritual, moral, cultural, and political health of our city. That's the difference that we have to make. We can't just do events. We can't do dog and pony shows. We can't just come together for 1 or 2 times a year to have lunch. We tell folks we're not the Peace Corps, we're the Marine Corps.
That's a good analogy. I have a quote here from Sam Adams, one of our founders, who says, once they lose their virtue, they will be ready to surrender their liberties. Do you see that happening in our nation now? Was he a prophet?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's exactly what the root problem here is, because, in fact, you look back, a number of our leaders, James Garfield said, if Congress is reckless, ignorant, and corrupt, it's because the people tolerate recklessness, ignorance, and corruption. The spiritual condition of the people will always dictate the direction of our government because it directs our morals, and our morals direct our politics. And so at the end of the day, it is the weakness and shallowness of the churches across the nation and our own complicity in where we are because of our willingness to let it go this direction and the comfort that we've chosen that is the biggest reason where we are. This is not the fault of the Barack Obamas and the Denise Parkers. They're doing what they were allowed to do because we yielded the ground and put them there. So, we're not angry with them. We don't hate them. We're simply saying, look, church, it's time that you do what God called us to do from the very beginning into Genesis 1 and be responsible stewards of everything he created, and that includes the extension of his authority through self-governing that we have in this country, and to do it wisely and biblically.
And as you point out, this is not a denominational thing, and it is not a racial thing. This is just Christians uniting. If you consider yourself to be a Christian and part of the Church Universal of Christ, then you need to be aware, and we need to be speaking out about our faith and voting our values. We're right up against a hard break and have completely run out of time, but Reverend David Welch, we want you to let our listeners know how we can get more informed about your group and you and the work that you're doing and how we can join you in that.
Well, you can go to uspastorcouncil.org. uspastorcouncil.org is our website. Find out a little more about what we are and who we are and why we're doing this. And ultimately, again, this is a challenge to pastors in every city. You can do it too. And just step up and take responsibility.
Thank you so much for being our guest here on Conservative Commando's radio show.
Great. Thank you.
We are coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Planet Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, Reboot, Liberty, and AM FM 24/7. Those are all .com. You're listening to Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel, Rick Trader, and we'll be right back after this break with our next guest.
Crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
You've heard Paul Deltz playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos radio network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos radio network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
Welcome back, listeners, to this fabulous Friday here on Conservative Commandos radio show. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our websites, ccrsnetwork.com and ccrshow.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m. log on to roarradio.net, and at 6 p.m. log on to thepunditpress.com. And now you can listen to Conservative Commandos radio show from any phone by calling 832-999-1199. And Rick, we have our next guest, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gerard Lamero. Dr. Lamero was the founder and CEO of Lamero Economics, LLC, a company focused on bringing practical economic knowledge about freedom, economic growth, and prosperity to America and to the world. Dr. Lamero is a frequent and popular talk radio show guest. He is an expert on economic growth and computer modeling. Dr. Lamero, welcome back to Conservative Commando's radio show.
Oh, it's great to be back with you. I always enjoy talking to you.
Well, it's our pleasure, and thank you so much for being our guest today. We want to talk to you about your article, Carson Ahead of Trump, What Next? Well, what is next, Dr. Lamero?
Well, I think we really have seen the race go from 17 candidates down to about 14, and we have quite a few, maybe about 8, that are really way down toward the bottom. People like George Pataki, the former governor of New York, and others just aren't registering on nearly any poll, and certainly not on any poll to any great degree. What we're seeing is the first two folks at the top are usually Trump and Carson. They're neck and neck. Trump has come down a little. Carson has gone up a little. And depending on which poll, which one will be ahead. Then sort of a second tier is Rubio and Cruz. They are both moving ahead. They're trending upward. And then the surprise for a lot of people, the man with all that money in the super PAC, Jeb Bush, just has gone nowhere. And in fact, in the last two national major polls, Fox and Quinnipiac, he was at 4%. And so his donors, I think, are starting to think it's time to move, and some of his donors apparently are moving to Rubio, who might be considered the closest to him ideologically.
Well, you ask a question here in your article. Will Donald Trump pull out of the race if he thinks to the number 2 or 3 spot?
Yeah, well, if Donald Trump ever gets to number 2, I mean solid number 2, right now he's flipping back and forth, number 1, number 2 with Carson, I think he would pull out. I mean, Donald Trump is the consummate CEO. He knows how to run things, but that's it. I don't think he could be a vice president for anybody, including a presidential candidate. So I don't think he would accept number 2. I think if he dropped to second place or third place without question, I think he would be gone within a few days. He is just not the type to stay. So that's what I would assess. Now, a news item, sort of breaking news today, was the Politico piece, saying that Carson had lied or something with his book and his story about West Point. And, of course, his campaign has come out and said that's just an outright falsehood. It has nothing to do with anything Ben Carson said. But you never know. When a story comes out, a lot of people just read the headline. They don't go back and they don't read the follow-up stories. We can't tell. Carson may have been hurt by that, and it would be terrible if some media outlet put out a totally false piece and it damages his reputation, because his reputation has been quite good up until now.
Sharon, I'm sorry to jump in, but Doctor, are you really surprised about this? Because it seems to me this is what the left-leaning liberal media does. They go at whoever is at the, and we've seen this. We've seen this in these presidential elections going back the past 3-4 elections. The liberal media starts to attack whoever is in first place.
Right. No, I'm not surprised, but I think it's just getting so blatantly biased, and well, in this case, it sounds like it's 100% false story.
It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter to the liberal left-leaning media. It doesn't matter. Facts just get in the way for them.
Right. Well, the good news, there is some good news, and the good news is the American people are waking up, and that's good. I think they're really getting a sense that this media is in the tank for the other side. And the other thing I think is really good, for the first time the candidates are standing up and fighting for themselves. I heard Ben Carson fighting for himself just like Donald Trump has been doing. Just like Cruz had to fight the New York Times because they left his book off the bestseller list. claiming that there was some big purchase that they made or something, which Cruz apparently had the facts and could, articulate his point of view quite well. So I think what we're seeing now is the candidates no longer are being pushed around like wet noodles, and they're fighting back, and the folks, the American voters, know what's going on, and they're going to start tuning out these fake articles. Well,
and we saw Newt Gingrich kind of set the model for that when he ran for president. He wouldn't take this from the press, and now these candidates have gotten smart, as you said. Don't stand up and don't take it. Yeah. I wanted to go back to the number 2 spot. You kind of mentioned that Trump wouldn't take the vice presidential spot, but in the past it hasn't been that the presidential nominee chooses from the runners up as a vice presidential spot. They usually go outside that to someone sometimes relatively unknown, like McCain choosing Sarah Palin, and of course Romney choosing Paul Ryan. He wasn't a contender for the presidential spot. Do you really think that one of these presidential candidates would even, any of them, consider the vice presidential spot, or that the one who wins would consider one of them?
Yeah, I definitely do. And by the way, as long as we're going to mention examples, let's mention the example of 1980. That was the year I was a member of the Electoral College. And in 1980, Ronald Reagan chose the number 2, the runner-up, George Herbert Walker Bush, as his VP nominee to kind of get the party together, so to speak. And I think John McCain picked Sarah Palin because he needed to solidify the conservative base, because the conservatives didn't like him that much. So I think they do that to try to sometimes balance the ticket, sometimes to unify the party. And right now, let's say Donald Trump sticks to the lead and becomes the nominee. I would guess he would pick Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is a solid conservative, and he would sort of balance out Donald Trump. And the two of them, you notice all along, they've been pretty good friends. They've been talking, and they don't criticize each other. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Trump-Cruz ticket. Now, on the other hand, if Ben Carson were to get the number 1 slot, I don't think he could pick Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump would be back and have a new reality show or do something else, or put out a line of new products. I think he'd be back in his business role and not run for VP. So, but I do think, let's say Ted Cruz, who's up near the top, were to get the nomination, he might pick a Bobby Jindal, because they're so close philosophically. So I have a feeling we're going to see both the VP and the presidential nominee out of this group of 14.
Well, we're up against a break, and I was wondering if you could stay through that break, because I know we're all interested in this conversation and would like to continue on the other side.
Oh, I'd be happy to be with you, absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. We are talking to Dr. Lamero about your favorite subject, who's going to be the next president. And we're coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, Reboot Liberty, and AM, FM 24/7, and those are all .com. Rick Trader, Sharon Engel, and our guest, Dr. Gerard Lamero. We'll be right back after this break.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night at Concord Bridge in Trenton. For freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our websites, ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com. Or you can hear rebroadcast over your computer by logging on to Leading Edge Radio Network at 9 in the morning. At 1 p.m., log on to roarradio.net. At 6 p.m., log on to thepunditpress.com. You can also hear our show from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Our guest this segment is Dr. Gerard Lamero. He's the founder and CEO of Lamero Economics, LLC. And we're discussing the Carson ahead of Trump. What's next? Dr. Lamero, thanks for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Oh, I'm glad to stay and glad to talk to you. You have a great network.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Tell your friends. Doctor, I'm looking at these polls, and they're very, very interesting, especially the changes from Tuesday, October 27th to Tuesday, November the 3rd. And I find the interesting changes are in Rubio and Cruz. They've come out of nowhere. They weren't even one of the top four in the October 27th poll, but by November 3rd, Rubio was in third place, Cruz was in fourth place by just 1 point, and I think that points out this past debate where Cruz, in my opinion, stole a little of Donald Trump's act by being strong where he went after the media. What's your take?
Well, I think there's a couple of factors going on here. One is we know Bush is dropping. Okay, his support is tending to go to Rubio because, again, I think Rubio is seen as a little closer to Bush than others. So Bush's votes, so to speak, are going to Rubio. Cruz is picking up conservative voters who are seeing him as a very strong voice for conservatism. Mm-hmm. They liked some of the things he's doing. They like the attacks on the media and being very straightforward. And because we know what it's like. We just talked about that Politico article on Ben Carson.
Yeah.
So we need a tough spokesman to be our Republican nominee. So I think Cruz is going up as more and more people recognize how strong a conservative he is. Some people think Carson may be, more refined and lighter, so to speak, and maybe not as argumentative as a Trump or Cruz. And we need somebody argumentative, somebody who's going to take the fight to the debates and to Hillary and to whoever is nominated there.
And that's what I think people saw.
Them go up.
That's what I think people saw with Ted Cruz in the last debate. Doctor, also, will Donald Trump pull out of the race if he sinks to second or third? My major concern there is if he pulls out and declares as a third-party candidate.
No, I don't think so. I really believe, honestly, that Trump could take or leave the presidency. I mean, he'll go make another billion if he stays in business. I don't think he needs the White House. I think in his heart, he's a pro-American person who really worries about this country. I think that's why he comes across as so authentic, because he really cares about the country. Now, I'm not convinced every one of his solutions will be conservative, because I don't think he's 100% up and down the line conservative from his record and his background. But I really think he's sincere, and I don't think he wants to split the vote. And he's also, signed a pledge with the RNC that said he'll support the candidate. So I think if he's not the one picked, he doesn't want it. That's what I think. Well, somebody else will get it.
I really am not even still sure yet that he even wants to be president. I think that he would have to give it too much power to be the president. For one thing, he'd have to put all his holdings in trust. This man's a control freak, and I don't think he'd want to do that. One other question, Doctor, I'd like to ask you before I hand you back over to Sharon Engel. Fox News has cut Christie and Huckabee from the first team for the next debate. I wanted to get your reaction.
Well, my feeling is the debates are too big. I think we ought to limit it. Well, I don't think we should cut free speech or anything, but I think in a practical sense, people really want to know who's got the best solutions for the country, who's the best candidate in terms of toughness, leadership skills, communication skills. And let's face it, George Pataki, Lindsey Graham, Rick Santorum had his day. These people are not registering. And even though Christie, had some good statements and Huckabee had some good statements, if people can only get 2% after months and months of campaigning, or 3%, are they really a viable candidate? I mean, to keep having them on the floor every time? Because they're taking time from the main candidates. So I basically agree with it. I think cutting it to 8 is a reasonable compromise.
Now, speaking of the rising stars and the falling stars, we saw all of the outsiders, as they're called, Trump, Carson, and Fiorina. And at one point, Fiorina was even ahead of Carson and really challenging Trump. And now she's in those that last grouping. In fact, you group her with Jeb Bush. Why do you think she fell? Is it because she's a woman and Republicans just don't like?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with.
Or what is it?
I don't think it has anything to do with her gender at all. I think it's strictly her personality. I think that she comes across as intellectual, but she doesn't have the passion of a Trump or a Cruz. She doesn't have the charisma of a Rubio. Rubio has a really nice persona for president. Carson is very He sounds very intellectual, but he also sounds very trustworthy. I mean, you'd go to Carson for surgery, you know. He would be your doctor if you needed it, or your child needed a neurosurgeon, a pediatric neurosurgeon. Carly doesn't connect with people as well. She had her bounce when she was about the only one who was speaking well in the second debate, but once that bounce was over, it didn't stick. It wasn't permanent. And right now, she's only getting about 3%, so she's back down there with Huckabee and some of those others toward the bottom. And so I would just say she's not going anywhere, and I don't think she's getting the donations, so she's not going to have the money to campaign as extensively. So she's battling it out roughly around 6th place in the group that's in the 3% range. And she's closest to Bush, and that's because Bush keeps dropping toward where she's at. She's not going up to Bush. He's coming down to meet her at the lower end of the polling.
So you absolutely discount the Republican war on women and say this is more about personalities, and they're just our candidates that are having more of an impact on voters than Carly Fiorina. It has nothing to do with woman on woman with her and Hillary. This is really about people just responding to the better candidate.
This is a battle between conservatism and freedom versus socialism. That's what this presidential election is all about. Does this country go down the road of socialism, Marxism, the welfare state? Some of these socialists, I think, even want communism. Or does it go down the road of our Constitution, the rule of law, freedom, limited government? That's what this real thing is about. The war on women is another hoax. It's like climate change. There is no climate change. The data is there for anybody to read. That is a hoax to gain power. The war on women is a hoax to gain women votes for people who are on the socialist side. And Carly Fiorina just doesn't shine as a candidate. Don't forget, Carly doesn't have the credentials, conservative credentials of other members of the top tier there. I mean, she supported John McCain. She ran for Senate and lost. She helped John McCain and he lost. She was at HP. She was fired. And I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, people do get fired from jobs and corporations, but she doesn't have a winning track record as a conservative. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a solid conservative who's going to fight for the Constitution and the rule of law. She says good things, but she doesn't come across as well and doesn't have the credentials of others.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest here on Conservative Commando's radio show. Dr. Lamero, we are out of time, but we want you to tell our listeners how they can follow your work and how they can get more of your work.
Sure. Well, I've written a number of books. My last book was on freedom. It's a great book on freedom. If you really want to understand the ins and outs and all the components of freedom, you can go to Amazon to get books under my name. It's Gerard Lamero, L-A-M, as in Massachusetts, E-I-R-O. GerardLamero.com is my website. You can read my Monday article I write every Monday, and you can buy my books on Amazon or other places, BarnesandNoble.com or your favorite bookstore.
Thank you so much for being our guest here, Dr. Lamero.
Oh, my pleasure. I wish you well. I hope you continue to grow and do good because you've got a great show.
Thank you so much. We're coming to you live from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the Internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, Reboot, Liberty, and AM/FM 24/7. Those are all .coms. Rick Trader and Sharon Angle will be back after this break.
They say I'm crazy, I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but
You've heard Paul Paul Dilts, playing the music on the Your Music Matters morning show. He is also an experienced mortgage loan officer working for U.S. Mortgage Corporation and assists homeowners navigate the reverse mortgage process. If you are finding yourself asking questions whether or not you set aside enough for retirement, Paul can sit down with you, your family, and your financial advisor and discuss how a reverse mortgage may be a valuable resource for your retirement plan. You will be responsible for paying your taxes and insurance, and the reverse mortgage can help with this and other expenses, such as home health care or other untimely bills. Put Paul's 20-plus years of experience to work for you, as choosing the right option for your situation can be critical. Call Paul at U.S. Mortgage Corporation at 877-213-9977. That's 877-213-9977. Or go to seniormatters.info for more information. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is a licensed mortgage banker in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 3901. U.S. Mortgage Corporation is located at 201 Old Country Road, Suite 140, Melville, New York, 11747. This advertisement applies to first lien mortgages. Paul E. Dilks, NMLS is 485904.
Hi, this is Bob Viden, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We're establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired, as I am, about the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on WNJC Radio 1360 a.m. or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioNetwork.com and CCRN.com for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where even more newsmakers go to be heard.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios. WNJC 1360. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.
Businessman there, drink my wine.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, please check out our websites, which are ccrshow.com or ccrsnetwork.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can log on to leadingedgeradionetwork.com. At 1 p.m., log on to roarradio.net, or at 6 p.m., thepunandpress.com. You can also hear our show from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. Our next guest is Dr. Devin Herrick. He is an expert on 21st century medicine, including the evolution of internet-based medicine, consumer-driven healthcare, and key changes to the global health market. Devin, welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. Great to have you with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Great that you're here. And we've asked you to join us today to discuss the collapse of the Obamacare co-ops, and that this signals big trouble to come. Devin, number one, what's going on? Number two, isn't this very predictable?
Oh, absolutely. I was asked to testify before a committee on government reform about a year ago, and because what I had to say was there was no reason for co-ops to exist. They had no competitive advantage. They had a political purpose. The political purpose was to get the progressives, the liberals, to buy into the idea of Obamacare, because they really wanted a single-payer system of government insurance. And the co-op was essentially, we'll give you this nonprofit. They'll outcompete the for-profits, and everybody will be happy. Well, of course, that was a fantasy.
Well, wasn't it also a ploy to get Republicans, or a few Republicans, to go along with this, that it wasn't the single-payer?
Well, yeah, it was more palatable, I guess, to Republicans than a single-payer system, but really it was Democrats and progressives that were wanting something. It's like throwing a bone at the progressives, saying, well, these will be almost as good as Medicaid or Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. But, that's just ludicrous. Even some of the Democrats in Congress knew that it was ridiculous in terms of a viable entity and that they would ultimately fail. Mm-hmm. Simply because, their hands were tied, but more importantly, they had no experience, they had no money except taxpayer money. It was just, it served a political purpose, and when that purpose was done, they were basically abandoned by both parties, rightfully so.
Okay. Evan, I'm looking at an article here in the Fiscal Times by Ed Morrissey, and Ed says in here, a government-funded plan could run all deficits with no consequences, forcing health insurance to either match the price or go out of business or leave the markets altogether. Well, we are seeing that in droves, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. About a third of the co-ops have basically just collapsed. And if you read all the news reports on all those co-ops to a single one, every one of them that have collapsed have blamed the lack of taxpayer bailouts. They were looking for risk corridor funds to cover all their losses. Well, Health and Human Services ran out of money. They just don't have the money. There were other insurers have lost money, and so there's just not enough money to divvy up. Mm-hmm. And so without... when they can't get bailouts, they have no choice but to go under.
All right. Also says in the article, the ACA, or Obamacare, as I prefer to call it. And by the way, it was Hillary Care before it was Romney Care, before it was Obamacare. Let's keep in mind it was Hillary Care. The ACA provided for a significant amount of backing from the federal government both in loans and in so-called risk corridor, funding that gave the Obama administration the option of covering losses for insurers in the first few years of Obamacare. So what happens now?
Well, what happens now is the administration, of course, tries to chase after some of those loans, and they'll never get them back, of course. I mean, that money's pretty well gone. But to their credit, Congress, and especially the Republicans in Congress, realized this was ridiculous. And so beginning about 3 years ago, they essentially cut the program by 2/3. So to date, we're only at about $2.4 billion. Originally, it was supposed to be over $6 billion. But because they cut back those funds, they safeguard the taxpayer money.
Well, does this become fodder for a Democrat candidate? Oh, they failed because the Republicans cut it by 2/3?
I don't even think that the Democrats were supporting this program much anymore.
So they're running from it now is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, the progressives, the liberals are lamenting, well, what happened? Well, we didn't plan it quite right. No, it was doomed from the start. It had the whole concept, even some of the Democrats at the time said that, a cooperative is what you use for farm goods. It's not what you use for health insurance, because it's not really designed to cover, because with health insurance, with any kind of insurance, you need big reserves, access to capital, to shore up any potential losses and carry over good years and bad years. Well, do you really think, if you bought health insurance from Co-Opportunity in Iowa, and if you're a fellow member, an owner, and they came to you later in the year and said, well, we said we're going to charge $250 a month for premiums, but really we need you to kick in about another $5,000. We're kind of losing some money right now. Are you going to do it?
Oh, no.
Well,
not if you have a
co-op,
dream.
you would be expected to. You're not really in a co-op. You're in a convoluted health insurance plan.
Yeah. Hey, Devin, we have to take a break. Could you hold on for just 2 minutes? Because I know Sharon Engel would like to ask you a few questions.
Well, sure.
All right, we are speaking with Devin Herrick. He's an expert on 20th century medicine and healthcare. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philly. Around the world on the internet with CPR Worldwide Media, Leading Edge Radio Network, TalkStream Live, The Pundit Press, SHR Media, K98 Talk, iHeartRadio, Roar Radio, AM/FM 24/7, and our newest, Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. Sharon and I will be right back with our guest.
The Conservative Commandos radio show is expanding to become the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. We are establishing a front line of conservative radio broadcasters and ironclad patriots to declare war against the madness of liberalism and the Obama administration. Are you tired of the disregard for our Constitution? Do you still have faith in the American dream? Are you looking for sensible, smart radio? If so, listen to the Conservative Commandos Radio Network every weekday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on WNJC Radio, 1360 on your AM dial, or around the world on the internet at WNJCradio.com. Check out our website, CCRSnetwork.com, for rebroadcasts and network updates. We are the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, where now even more newsmakers go to be heard.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
We are coming to you live here at Conservative Commandos radio show. Welcome back on this fabulous Friday. If you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our website, ccrsnetwork.com, ccrshow.com, or mornings at 9 a.m. Log on to the leadingedgeradionetwork.com at 1 p.m., roarradio.net, and at 6 p.m., thepunditpress.com. And you can also listen on your telephone at 832-999-1199. We've been talking with our guest, Devin Herrick. Thank you so much for being on the show, Devin. And I want you to clarify something for us. What's the difference between a co-op and a state exchange? Or is there a difference?
Oh, absolutely. A co-op is essentially a non-profit health insurance cooperative. It's really just a non-profit health insurer. They get their solvency reserves and their funding by borrowing it from the government, from taxpayers. Which means, if you're getting your money from taxpayers, no bank's going to lend you money, and because really there's no profit in it. They can't. There's limited ways they could use the funds. They could not advertise their products, for example. They could do education. But anyway, it's a hamstrung health insurer. But now the exchange, well, that is where policies are sold by private and for-profit insurers, as well as in various states, health insurance cooperatives.
So when the exchange fails, does the cooperative fail as well? I'm in Nevada, one of those failed states that was listed as a co-op failure, but our exchange failed several months ago. And when it did, what they said was, not to worry, we're just going to put you over to healthcare.gov and you'll still be able to get insurance. How do those things really line up with the facts?
Well, what it is initially, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, said, the cornerstone of the way it would work would be, of course, we know Medicaid expansion, but also there would be private health exchanges in which states would, quote, manage them. They'd call them exchanges. But if states said, I don't want to run my own exchange, then the federal government would pick up the slack and do it for them. It was almost a condescending mechanism, in my opinion. Essentially, the federal government was saying, we're setting the rules, we're demanding you do this, but we'll let you run this little exchange unless you don't want to. The idea was that state insurance commissioners would loathe to give up any kind of authority to the federal government, so they would jump in and do it for the feds. Well, a lot of states said, the rules are arbitrary, it's costly, we have no flexibility. We're just going to let the feds do it because we wouldn't be allowed to do it ourselves anyway. We'd have to do it to the feds' specifications. So, what happened in your state and several others is the exchanges became so difficult to administer because of all the federal intervention and meddling and just regulations that more and more states are saying, why are we even doing this? Just let healthcare.gov do it because we have no control anyway.
And so when your co-op fails in your state and your exchange has failed, where do people go to get insured?
Well, what you would do would be, of course, go to healthcare.gov and find one of the competing insurance products. And that was the trouble when a lot of the co-ops, so far about 11, I think maybe 10 or 11 co-ops have failed currently, and out of 23 to 24 initially. And, of course, one of those actually didn't fail to get off the ground, so it's been about 10 have failed, and one never really got going. But what happened is a lot of people joined these co-ops, or received coverage through these co-ops because these co-ops were competing by offering lowball prices. I mean, and like in Iowa especially, it was real good coverage with the idea that, well, we'll lose money, but we'll make it up when we get the risk corridors from all the other health plans that have to help cover our losses. Well, it didn't work that way. And increasingly, a lot of the others that have failed, they failed because they couldn't get the bailouts they expected to get in the marketplace after they mispriced their products or purposely underpriced their products to gain market share.
On here, that always helps. Devin, do you think people are going to be shocked this coming spring when they go to do their taxes to find out how much the penalties on this thing has jumped?
I think they will. I think that's... plus, some people will find that they actually got to give money back because they... you have to use your taxes from a year ago to estimate your income for next year to figure out what your subsidy is. And if you're wrong, well, the feds want most of that, or a good part of that back.
Yeah.
So it's really convoluted. I think a lot of people, and I've known people that didn't even bother to try to figure out how to get an exemption because it was just too much trouble. And I think next year they're going to do their taxes and say, holy, man, I didn't realize it was going to be 2% of my income.
Yeah.
So,
surprise, all that free stuff isn't so free anymore. Devin Herrick, we want to thank you for joining us on the Conservative Commandos radio show. How can people follow your work?
Well, they can follow our work on ncpa.org.
mcpa.org. What, again, is MCPA?
National Center for Policy Analysis.
NCPA. Sorry about that. Devin, once again, thank you for joining us. Take care. God bless.
Well, thanks for having me.
And Sharon Engel, two things I want to remind our listeners about. One is stockingsforsoldiers.org, stockingsforsoldiers.org. Log on there, find out what you can do to help give our men and women overseas something for Christmas. And this is something that we at the Conservative Commandos radio show surely has gotten behind. And also, please check out runsharonengel.com. So, Sharon, tell our audience a little bit about that.
Well, it's a draft committee that was started by two legislators here in the state of Nevada to run for the open seat that Harry Reid is vacating upon his retirement in 2016. And, of course, he has a hand-picked Democrat already for that seat. And these legislators have looked at who's running on the Republican side and said, we can do better. So they've asked me if I would be interested, and that was exactly what the question was yesterday at our press conference after we got through talking about the Pupil Information Privacy Protection Act. They said, are you going to run for U.S. Senate? And I said, that is the question. What do you think? So go to runsharonengel.com and cast a vote. That's by making a donation there, because in this race, it's going to be our wallets that will determine who wins this Senate seat.
Sharon, as you've heard me say before, many of our audiences heard me say before, it is time that we all get involved. My God, today's show is an example. Our guests, the things that we talked about, is a great example of why we need to stop this liberal policies, these liberal agendas that are running our country today. Their country's going to run amok. I mean, gay bathrooms. I mean, when you go to the bathroom, you want a little bit of privacy. But these people, they keep pushing their agenda. Obamacare, we knew this was going to be a failure. The people in Congress didn't even read the bill. We need to make changes in this country. And the way we do that is we elect people that we can trust, who are putting our country ahead of party politics and personal gain. And so therefore I say to our listeners, or anyone out there, get involved. Get out of your couch. Get off your couch. Get out of your house. Go talk to your neighbors. Find candidates that you can get behind, conservative candidates. If they're in your local community, great. If they're in your state, great. If they're halfway across the country, like Sharon Angle is, support conservative candidates no matter where they are. It doesn't matter because they all represent us. A senator from Nevada represents the people in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Delaware, Maryland, whatever. So I encourage you, please, and open your wallets. All right, that's so important. It's so important that we open our wallets and donate to candidates who we can get behind, who are going to put conservative values and morals back into our country. So once again, that website is runsharonangle.com, runsharonangle.com. Please look into that. Sharon, we got about 30 seconds. Final thoughts?
I just want to say God bless you to our audience. Have a great weekend. And we'll be back, of course, with Conservative Commandos on Monday.
Yes, we will. And I want to thank our guests today. I also want to thank Mr. John Forsyth Jr. for working the boards. Again, thank you, Sharon, for being my co-host today. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next week on the radio. Have a great weekend.
WNJC, Washington Township, Philadelphia. Philadelphia's Renaissance radio station. Brought to you from Forsyth Broadcasting. Or listen to us at WNJCradio.com.